Malcolm Jamal Warner was never just another actor. He was the kind of presence that made you stop and pay attention, not because he demanded it, but because he carried something real. He had the rare kind of gravity that didn't come from scandal or noise, but from soul. When news broke that he had died suddenly during a family vacation in Costa Rica, it felt like something solid had cracked beneath the surface of popular culture. He was only 5'4". The world knew him first as Theo Huxtable, the youngest son in one of television's most famous families. For years he brought humor, charm, and depth to that role, growing up on screen in front of millions. But to his family, his friends, and those who worked beside him, Malcolm was never just a character. He was thoughtful, quietly powerful. A man who moved with intention in a world that often rewards chaos. On July 20th, during what should have been a joyful escape with family, Malcolm entered the ocean off the coast of Costa Rica to go body surfing. The waves were lively, the air warm, and from all accounts, the day began with laughter. But somewhere in the water, things took a turn. According to the Costa Rican authorities, a strong current pulled him under. Witnesses say he fought, tried to resurface, but the ocean didn't let him go easily. Someone nearby rushed to help. He was brought to shore, and the Costa Rican Red Cross tried everything. But by the time they reached him, he was gone. The medical examiner later confirmed what many feared. Malcolm had died from accidental asphyxiation due to submersion. He drowned. There was no foul play, no hidden scandal, just a tragic, sudden end to a life that still had so much more to give. On July 22nd, after the autopsy was complete, the details became official. He had been caught in the current, pulled under, and the sea had taken him. He had been identified the day before by the Costa Rican National Police, and arrangements were made for his body to be transported back to the United States. A private funeral would follow. His family, shattered and private as always, asked. For space, it felt surreal. Malcolm Jamal Warner had never been the kind of celebrity splashed across tabloids. He didn't chase headlines. He avoided the circus of fame and stayed focused on his work, his craft, and his loved ones. He managed the rare feat of evolving gracefully, never collapsing under the weight of child stardom, never reduced to a caricature of his past. Those who knew him best always said the same thing. He was real, kind, grounded, and intensely loyal. He had built his career thoughtfully after The Cosby Show ended in 1992, for nearly 4 decades. He kept working, moving between drama, comedy, voiceover work, directing, and even poetry. He co-starred in Malcolm and Eddie for 4 years. Lead read between the lines with Tracee Ellis Ross, and more recently, made a mark with emotionally rich roles in The Resident. Suits Major Crimes and Alert Missing Persons Unit. His performances carried quiet strength. There was always a pause, a look, a silence that said as much as any line he delivered. He didn't need to be loud to be powerful, just was. Beyond acting, Malcolm was a thinker. In 2024, he launched a podcast titled Not All Hood with Woosie, Baraka and Candace Kelly. It wasn't a celebrity vanity project. It was a space for honest, layered conversations about race, culture, fatherhood, masculinity, and meaning. In his final recorded episode, he spoke about Black excellence not as a brand, but as a responsibility. Looking back, those words feel heavier now, like a man leaving behind not just entertainment, but intention. The tributes that followed his death came quickly and with deep emotion. Fellow actors, longtime friends, collaborators, everyone had a story. Morris Chestnut, who had worked with him on The Resident, spoke of his wisdom and warmth, how every scene with him felt like a masterclass in presence. Patrick J. Adams, who shared the screen with Malcolm in Suits, called him untouchable when it came to generosity of spirit. Tracee Ellis Ross, perhaps one of the people who knew him best, on and off screen, called him her first TV husband and wrote about his gentleness, his elegance, and the way he made the world brighter just by being in it. Eddie Griffin, who had shared years of laughter with him on Malcolm and Eddie, posted a single photo in 3 words, "My big little brother." Even those who never met him, who only knew him through screens, felt the loss. His presence had spanned generations. He had shown young black boys they could be seen. He had given families characters they could love without fear. And later, through his adult roles, he gave men permission to be intelligent, quiet, complicated, and whole. It's hard to accept that someone so full of life, so vital and clear-eyed, could be taken so suddenly. The circumstances only made it more devastating. A vacation, a swim, a wave. Just a few seconds can change everything. Questions have started to surface about safety measures on Costa Rican beaches. At the time of the incident, there were reportedly no lifeguards on duty. Another man who attempted to rescue Malcolm was hospitalized in critical condition, further highlighting how dangerous the waters had been that day. Local officials have since acknowledged the absence of proper monitoring, and conversations are now underway about improving protections for travelers. But for Malcolm's family, no explanation will ever bring him back. He was private about his personal life, rarely sharing details about his wife or his daughter. But those close to him say he was devoted. He once said that fatherhood had taught him everything he thought he already knew, that it had slowed him down in all the right ways, that it reminded him daily what mattered most. Even in his public life, he was never chasing noise. He often walked away from roles that didn't feel right, from opportunities that didn't align with his values. He had an artist's compass measured, grounded, principled. His spoken word albums carried that same sense of direction. Poetry was raw and reflective, a side of him many fans never knew, but one that gave voice to the parts of manhood often left unspoken, and that may be the hardest part of this loss. The silence he leaves behind in an industry that often favors spectacle. Malcolm Jamal Warner was a steady flame. He didn't burn fast or loud, he burned with purpose. And now that flame is gone far too soon. There will be no more new roles, no more podcasts, no more quiet smiles across red carpets. But there will be the work he left behind, the episodes, the monologues, the poems, the interviews, the stories his friends and family will tell for years to come. There will be the space he carved out for others to follow. The example he set, his daughter will grow up knowing that her father didn't just make a mark on television, he made one on the hearts of those who truly knew him. His wife will remember the man who kept her world calm even when the outside noise grew loud. His friends will hold on to the moments between the takes, the laughter between the lines. And for the millions who never met him but saw a piece of themselves in Theo, or in Dr. A.J. Austin, or in Julius Rowe, the loss will be just as real, because Malcolm didn't just act, he connected. The ocean that took him was merciless, indifferent. But the man it took was anything but. He was intentional. He was kind. He was a light. His final words on his final podcast episode now echo louder than ever. He spoke of legacy, of what it means to leave something behind that lasts. And though he didn't know those would be his final public words, they were fitting, because that's what Malcolm Jamal Warner gave us. Not just performances, but presence. Not just scenes, but meaning. He is survived by his wife and daughter, whose names remain protected, as he always intended. The family has asked for privacy and peace. And those who respected him will honor that. Malcolm Jamal Warner didn't just grow up on television, he grew up with us. And now he belongs to memory, to love, to history. Rest in peace, Malcolm. You mattered. You always did.